It is just a gorgeous day out.
I love it.
Most of us enjoy the summer sun, but we may be less excited about how it impacts our energy use.
Well, it's definitely a classic love-hate relationship, but it doesn't have to be.
Today on Alliant Energy's PowerHouse, we'll share some easy cooling tips for your home that are affordable and practical.
We'll take a closer look at whole house fans and window air conditioners, and we'll learn more about a mini split heating and cooling source.
Megan, get out your shades because it's time to get cool in your PowerHouse.
Okay, Pete, it's time to put our heads together and come up with some cooling and energy-saving ideas. So, what are yours?
I think there are two basics everyone needs to keep in mind when trying to keep a house cool: air movement and shade.
I agree. So which one do you want to start with?
Easy. Let's talk about air. In the summer, keep hot air out and cool air in. We've talked about this before, but keeping the air that you've paid to condition from escaping or being compromised by incoming hot air is key. Weather stripping, caulk, door sweeps, and other draft sealing or insulation efforts can help keep your cooling air inside. Next, ceiling fans. In cold weather, you want your ceiling fans to turn so they create an updraft to circulate warm air in the room. In the summer, you want just the opposite. They should turn so they create a downdraft and a direct cooling breeze for occupants of the room. Depending on your fan unit, this change of direction can be achieved with a remote or an app on your phone. Or you may need to flip a physical switch on the base of the unit to reverse direction. And remember, ceiling fans cool people, not rooms. Switch them off when you leave a room for even more energy savings. Portable fans are another great way to get air moving and create a cooling effect. Whether it's a tall, oscillating floor fan for the bedroom, a table fan to boost airflow in a warm kitchen, or a sleek, bladeless model to quietly cool the family room, generating a breeze can help you avoid turning down the thermostat.
Those were all great tips. Are you ready for me to throw some shade?
Take it away.
The summer sun is powerful. When it streams unchecked into our homes, it can cause our air conditioners to work much harder to overcome the increased heat. So let's talk about ways to keep the sun at bay. Window coverings. Nearly everyone has some type of window covering or curtain in place for basic privacy reasons. Using these wisely to keep out sun is just a matter of knowing when to keep them closed. The most effective curtains and shades have a light-colored or reflective backing. Adjustable blinds or roller-type shades also allow you privacy and the ability to control the amount of light and heat entering the room. One step beyond a basic window covering is a window blind that provides an insulation barrier as well. Insulated cellular shades, or honeycomb-style blinds, are made of pleated material with insulating air pockets in the cross-section. These types of shades are energy efficient and can reduce unwanted heat through windows by up to 80%. There are even smart versions available that can be set to open and close on a schedule, so you don't even have to think about it. An exterior feature you can consider installing is an awning. With many decorative and adjustable options, this window covering can allow full use of the window for indirect lighting or to keep open for ventilation while blocking the direct sunlight that's responsible for unwanted heating of your room. If you've planted trees and shrubs to provide shade, an awning can provide immediate shade while your new plants grow. Now, Pete, I have one last idea to share, and this is really cool in more ways than one. This smart tint window film can be applied to any window to reduce the impact of sunlight with the touch of a button. Now watch this.
Ooh. Whoa, that is
How cool
Yeah.
is that? When powered on, it reduces the sun's UV rays by up to 99%, and it provides solar ray reduction of up to 49%. In addition to the heating and cooling benefits, it allows you to minimize sun damage to carpets and furniture and artwork, and it's a fraction of the cost of installing smart glass windows.
That's really cool.
I love this.
Can homeowners install it themselves?
Yeah, they can. Custom kits come ready to install, and they even include some practice pieces. There are a variety of DIY options and professionally installed window tint options available from home improvement outlets. You just need to decide which one best fits with your needs and budget.
That's great they have practice devices for me. Right?
You need that, right?
For even more tips and ideas to stay cool and reduce your utility bill this summer, visit our website at powerhousetv.com. We talked a little bit about fans for your house. Now we're going to talk about a single fan for your entire home. We're talking about a whole house fan that helps create airflow throughout your entire home. To learn more, we're going to meet up with Eric Kelch from Premier Electrical Services to find out how a whole house fan actually works. Eric, thanks for joining us. Walk us through how a whole house fan works.
All right, Pete, thanks for having me. The way it works is you have a simple light switch, timer, or a thermostat. The dampers will open, and then the fan will start. You want to have doors and windows open downstairs and anywhere in the house. Creates negative pressure, almost a vacuum of pulling air up through the fan. Then what happens in the attic, you create more of a positive pressure where once that pressure is built high enough, now it's going to push all the hot air outside your soffit vents and any other means of escaping. And by doing that, you create a very quick, temperate control of the air inside the house. It really cools quickly.
So an overall whole house fan, I mean, we're really talking about, air movement and improving the quality of the air inside our house.
Yes, the other things happen. You get rid of some odors, pet odors, cooking odors, and because you have windows and doors open, that thing just creates that pressure and pulls the air out. It happens quickly and very efficiently.
So I decided I want to put a whole house fan in my home. You come out, take me through the installation process.
Certainly.
What happens?
Contact a general contractor and electrical contractor. Choose a good location for the fan as far as just a nice open area, maybe in a hallway. It can be retrofit, it could be brand new. And yeah, simple sawing of the drywall and finding a good place to put it. You know, building a frame installation for the dampers itself, and then the fan, it just sits up in the attic and it's all supported through the trusses. From an electrical standpoint, we provide some power. It's usually just through an outlet controlled by one of the means I was speaking of, thermostat, timer, just a simple light switch. You fire it up and away it goes.
And location, it's not necessarily an outside wall. It can be, it's inside or anywhere, correct?
Definitely. For the whole house fan, you want to set it up basically inside a wall, mostly a ceiling, inside the house somewhere. There is another means, an attic fan, which works a little different. It just basically focuses on the heat in the attic, where you can vent out either an outside wall or vent through the roof. And that will control it by a little different means. But the whole house fan normally is, very specific to an inner wall or the ceiling, and then just vents out in the attic, creates that pressure and pushes it out through your soffit.
And that's a good point. This is different from just an attic fan. This is the whole house fan.
Correct. The biggest benefits from a whole house fan versus the attic fan, it cools much quicker. Because what you're doing with the attic fan is just kind of moving the air from the attic and out. So you're not creating that big vacuum where you would experience much more positive effect on the temperature in the house, and again with odor and everything.
Let's talk a little about expense in terms of installing a whole house fan.
All right, installation-wise, I estimated anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. It just depends on, the brand name of the fan you want to go with, size, big or smaller, means of control. You can become very electronically involved with it so that, some of them just have a manual switch. That's probably the simplest way. One of the other big costs are a direct-driven fan versus a belt-driven fan. Of course, a belt-driven fan it's going to have the motor off to the side, and then the fan itself will be attached through a belt and pulley. Those are usually a lot less expensive, but much noisier. The direct drive ones have the motors attached directly to the fan. Again, a little more expense involved, but usually a lot quieter.
So again, really kind of whether the basic simple, you get a little bit more elaborate and how you control it. That's up to the homeowner in terms of that decision.
Yes, sir. There are quite a few options you can decide on.
Eric, is a whole house fan for every house?
Well, I would say it's very advantageous for most in the sense of quality control, but one thing you really got to consider that I've seen is if you have a family who has very strong allergies, it may not be for you. As much as you're pulling that cooler, fresh air inside, you're also pulling a lot of the pollens and allergens in with it. So for a family strong of allergies, it may not be for you.
But again, the homeowner, I put a whole house in, I can improve in terms of my energy bill, right?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I mean, mechanically wise, it's a much better means of controlling the temperature in your house versus an air conditioner, simply because these fans use a small sip of electricity. They sip the electricity versus, your air conditioners on a hot day just guzzle that electricity. Your air conditioner, it uses higher watts of electricity, and it usually runs throughout the day, more constant, whereas your whole house fan, you can run it a few times morning and night, and the effectiveness of it alone creates a more conservative energy approach. It's a considerable difference.
Well, Eric, you've given us a great background on a whole house fan, and it really sounds like overall, in terms of cooling the house and air quality, a great strategy to take a look at. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you.
If you'd like to explore whether a whole house fan might be a good choice for your home, contact a licensed local HVAC professional.
We're glad to have Dan Nunemaker with us of Premier Electrical Services. He's been the owner for the past 9 years and a licensed electrician for over 25. Thanks for joining us, Dan. The first question that I have for you is, why would someone select window air conditioners as opposed to central air?
So it starts a lot based on the existing conditions. The home that we're in right now was built originally with baseboard electric heat, and there wasn't a mechanical room or a forced air furnace to tie a central air unit to. So a high efficiency window air conditioning unit was a good choice to provide some comfort and cooling.
Got it. Let's talk about the cost. Can you give us a price range on what it costs to invest in a window air conditioning unit, both to purchase as well as to run?
Yes, they range probably from $200 to $600 depending on a few things: size, voltage, efficiency. And you can expect to spend $4.50 to $5 a day to operate them, basically depending on a few variables: ambient temperature, the set point of your thermostat, and how large a space you're trying to cool.
I would imagine that different models have different bells and whistles too, like timers and things like that as well.
Yes, that is an option that's available. The unit that's with us in this building right now does have a remote control, and it does have timers that can be set to basically shut the unit off at certain times a day and only allow it to run at the set point on the programmed hours.
Now, how much area can one reasonably expect a window unit to cool?
You can expect a larger window air conditioning unit to cool in excess of 600 square foot.
All right. And what should we look for when we're shopping for a window unit?
I think it starts with buying a unit that's ENERGY STAR rated, high efficiency, make sure it's UL listed and approved. If you have an existing electrical circuit to the unit, you want to make sure you get one that matches the voltage that's in your house, and then just get one that's sized right.
All right. Let's say that I have my unit, I'm ready to install it myself. What steps should a homeowner go through to make sure that they really maximize its efficiency and make sure that it's running safely?
I think it starts with finding a good location, a central location in your house where you can install it in a window that's going to give you the most coverage. You want to add a little bit of air circulation, make sure that your exterior doors are closed, your windows are closed. Make sure you seal up around the unit so you're not getting ambient temperature coming in past it, and then leave your interior doors open so you have more circulation.
Good tips. So in this space, how large would you say the space is?
The space we're in right now is between 900 and 1,000 square feet.
And one unit will adequately cool this space, right?
This unit will do this space comfortably.
Let's talk about a house that's, say, 1,400 square feet. How many units would that require?
Depending on the layout of that house, you would probably expect to put 2, at least possibly 3 units in there. It definitely makes a difference. If you have long corridors and your space is spread out, it would require more units.
Great. You've given us a lot to consider. Thanks for your expertise, Dan. No matter what your home cooling solution, we hope that you've learned some things from the tips and tricks we've provided today to maximize its impact. To learn more, visit our website at powerhousetv.com. You know, when the weather warms up, a 4-season porch is a great place to relax. But a lot of times, all-season porches have been added, making them really tricky to regulate temperature in because they weren't designed to be heated and cooled the same way the rest of the house is. When it comes to the need for innovative solutions, Tom Rutkowski has seen it all. And he's here to talk about how to get max comfort with a mini split. Welcome, Tom. Let's start with the basics. What is a mini split?
So a mini split is a piece of equipment that is ductless. There's no ductwork to heat or cool the house. It's all done with a refrigerant line set, which is just 2 copper pipes ran in a small hole through the wall, and it will efficiently heat and cool the space.
Now, what are the most common spaces you see homeowners applying these units?
So the most common spaces are going to be either 3, 4-season rooms, basements, attics, and even garages.
All right. Explain to us just fundamentally how the system works.
Sure. So essentially you're going to have 2 pieces of equipment. There's an indoor head or an air handler inside, and then you have your piece of equipment outside, the condenser or the heat pump. That indoor head is where you're actually going to be removing heat from the house or adding it in. And then there's refrigerant inside that line set that runs to your outdoor unit. And then that outdoor unit has a compressor just like you'd see a normal air conditioner or an air source heat pump. And it's going to extract or reject that heat from the ambient air.
All right, now a ductless system certainly is different from a traditional HVAC system. If I'm considering getting one, how do I know that it's worth the investment for a particular space? What factors should I be thinking about?
So you'd want to be looking at a few different factors. Making sure that there's no way to condition that space with traditional ductwork. Looking at the electrical requirements, how you'd get the wiring ran for the outdoor unit, and then how we're going to get that refrigerant line set from the indoor component to the outdoor unit. A lot of consideration needs to be going into the clearance for the indoor unit. There's a certain amount of space around these heads where it needs to be able to circulate airflow properly. So making sure you physically have the space on the wall to put that head, or just the routing of the line set in general.
Let's talk about the general cost. Can you give us a price range for what a mini split costs, and also what could affect that price point?
For a smaller unit, you'd see like a single head, a single outdoor unit for a 3 or 4 season room. They can start as low as, we'll say, $2,500 up to anywhere in the $3,000 to $4,000 range. On multiple head units where we're picking up a couple of different rooms or doing an entire house, you can easily get into the $16,000 to $20,000 range.
Okay, and so are there bells and whistles options that you can have that might influence that price?
There are. So there's a lot of variety within these units. Some will do cooling only. Other ones will do heating and cooling. Those are the ones you'll see as a heat pump. There's single speed compressors, and then there's variable speed compressors or inverter type units. The multiple speed, the inverter type, does carry a little more cost, but it's going to ramp up and down to meet the need of that space more efficiently, more comfortably, and it's going to be a better overall product.
Okay. I've seen some things online, some products that seem similar to this. What do you know about that?
You need to be very wary of it. There's a lot of third-party places that will advertise these on social media. A lot of them are not as efficient. They're harder to get parts for. Warranties are always an issue with them. So it's very important that you talk with someone that's licensed, that's gone through the proper training, and knows what they're doing and has a good product that they're going to stand behind.
Well, I guess with any service or installation, it's always good to have face-to-face contact, right?
It is, and it's very necessary when we're looking at these units to be able to size it up and see how we're going to run that line set to make sure it's going to work properly for the homeowner.
Kind of customize it.
Exactly.
Now, here in the Midwest, we have crazy weather, as you know. I mean, we can have heat waves in the summer and we can have Arctic winters. How will mini split heat pumps operate under such extreme weather conditions?
So they work wonderfully for cooling. There's really no issues with that. On the heating side of things, it is something you want to consider. They rate these units anywhere from about 5 degrees to about -13 ambient outdoor. So that's to say that at that temperature, these units will be able to perform at 100% of their design capacity. Now, keeping that in mind, when they get down to that temperature, they have to work a lot harder to be able to produce that kind of heat. There's just not as much heat left in the air to pull from. So if you have a space, a garage, or somewhere that has water, things that can be harmed by cold, you still need to take that into consideration and make sure you have a backup heat source available for when it does get into those very, very cold polar vortexes or whatever might be happening.
Another good reason to consult with a professional.
Exactly.
Okay. So if you wouldn't mind, why don't you walk us through the installation process so we can get a better picture?
Sure, so we'll look at where we're gonna be mounting both of the units. On the outside of the home where the condenser or the heat pump would sit, we'll either install a stand on the ground, or if there's a structure available, we can mount a bracket. You'd probably see them a lot on new construction homes for air conditioners, very similar. And then we'll run our line sets. We'll look for a route from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit where we can run this line set that consists of 2 copper pipes. There'll be a communication cable, and then you have your condensate drain. Once we're done running that, we'll do connections on both of the units, do your wiring for it. There's different procedures for different types of units on how we need to pull a vacuum on the lines and install the refrigerant. Once it's charged, we can run through its proper operating procedures, do checks on it, and away you go.
Great, this is good information, and this sounds like such a flexible and relatively affordable option for people.
It is, and in spots where there's just no good way to get ductwork, it's a wonderful option. It gives somebody the opportunity to better control that space, like with a 4-season room. If you have a lot of glass in there and it's very hard to maintain the same temperature in there as it is in the house, this would be its own dedicated zone. You can have that be whatever it wants.
Or if you choose to use it 3 months out of the year, you only pay for heating and cooling for 3 months out of the year.
Correct, and with a very efficient unit.
Great, thanks Tom. If you'd like to learn more about mini splits, go to PowerHouseTV.com.
We hope you enjoyed this very cool edition of PowerHouse
We moved some air and threw some shade.
and picked up on the basics of the whole house fan.
We also explored the possibility of a window air conditioner as a cooling solution.
And we weighed the benefits of a mini split for specific cooling and heating needs.
Visit PowerHouseTV.com for more tips and information on dealing with a rising thermometer to keep you cool in your powerhouse.